How do you think these two things unite into one product that helps our client? Thank you, Art. That's really insightful.
But I can tell you about deliverables as well.
A lot of people have on their minds, and I should articulate it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the podcast from ArtGuy. I'm co-founder of the company, and today I'm with my partner in crime, Artem Tsimbal. He's our chief design officer, and both of us are happy to tell a bit more about the way we do product redesign and how we approach UX audits, how we do product discoveries. So everything that helps to make sure that you do the work the way your customers expect it. With Artem's really big and vast experience and insights, we set to explore these areas and stand as the backbone of successful product development. So stay tuned for compelling discussion and prepare for a couple of questions that I'm going to ask just right now. Artem, I would love to start with a question that comes straight from our experiences. We got this question in comments from a potential client who wants to redesign their product, but as many clients, they have a limited budget and timing and unsure whether they need to do a UX audit or they need to redesign the product immediately. So what advice would you give them in this situation? So I would love to know your opinion.
Skipping UX audit and jumping straight to redesigning application, it's like treating a symptom without addressing the underlying issue. So, for example, using makeup to cover your rash on the skin instead of going to doctor and treating it with some medical drugs. In short-term perspective, it might look like saving some money for production, but in a long-term perspective, it can be quite painful for the business and have some bad consequences. So that's why I believe it's wise to start redesign project with basic UX audit. It's called Heuristic evaluation, created by Nissan Norman Group.
I hope no one will actually hate us the way we pronounce it, because it's not an easy word.
Yeah. So it's quite straightforward tool that helps you to audit your product in terms of UX and without spending a lot of resources, time, and I guess one of the best parts that it doesn't need involvement of your team on this particular stage. Yeah.
Just to be clear, again, this heuristic evaluation sounds like a magical beast in a way. So can you please tell a bit more about the parameters of the assessment? So what do you take into account when you do it?
This is in some way some kind of checklist like doctors have when they assess your health, and it has 10 parameters like consistency and standards. So quite often, even one designer designing the whole system, he can use one pattern in one part of application and another pattern for the same feature in another part of application. It is quite confusing for the users. So also we have best practices standards. We have a lot of like a huge library of common patterns that used all over the world in most popular apps. So we are comparing your tool, your application with these best practices. So another important part, it's system visibility. Can user easily see what's going and get feedback? Because sometimes you need time to receive information from the servers. And for example, week ago we were testing, doing UX audit for one of the tools, and it's a AI tool. Surprise, surprise, and it's generate images, and it takes time to generate an image, and nothing happens. And for user, it looks like it's broken, that it's slower than competitors. But for example, Open AI. They created a similar tool, and while you're waiting for image generation, it shows you examples of generated images and prompts that explain how you can generate something similar, and it's entertain users and makes system more friendly, and it feels like it works faster than it is. So it's also super important part. Of course, there's more metrics like error prevention. Quite often inside system, you have some errors, and the user just need to press home button and start over again. But you can always propose to write to submit a feedback, explain what happened, and quite often everyone forgets about this important part and just show you some strange message with a lot of numbers, letters, and hashtags.
Yeah, makes sense.
Also, yeah, a very important part, it's user control and freedom. uh, Sometimes you start a process inside your product, and there is no option to go back or cancel something or save something. So it's important to check all these small details that you can close the window. Sometimes you start to book in something, and you lost whole control, and the only way to get out from this it's to finish booking process. It's called black pattern, and sometimes it can help you to make higher conversions. Also, we test efficiency of use, how quickly can user accomplish some tasks, and yeah, many other parameters that we check. So this a simple checklist with up to 10 parameters that helps designer without any involvement of potential users, current users, client team, assess the design and propose some improvements.
So thank you, Art. That's really insightful, and I guess, as you already told, this heuristic analysis is kind of like a must-have and industry standard if you want to make sure that you really exclude a lot of like taste from redesign. But what if you need to do a more high-end UX audit? What would it look like? So if you have a bit more time, if the stakes are higher, so what would you advise these type of product owners?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, with heuristic evaluation, we can just dive deep into the project without any preparation and start assessing the tool. But if you want to do more high-end UX audit, we always start as every project with requirements gathering, review documents and existing inputs, and desk research. And then after that, the magic starts. We start with competitor analysis. It's super important. We evaluate competitors through different parameters and identify some standards in this particular niche, and innovative practices. And then we can add them to your product. After that, we always accomplish heuristic evaluation. It's a as a part of bigger UX audit. And one of the most interesting parts, it's analytics observation. So if you have any tools like Google Analytics, Hotjar, we start to assessing metrics and finding points where we can improve your product. And sometimes, we see that metric is too good. It's always suspicious. because if you have very good metric above the standard, maybe it's some issue with the business. For example, we had a case when we after competitor analysis and analytics observation, realized clients charge too less for their product than competitors, and that's why they have this super high conversion, and they lose a lot of money every day because they charge not so much as they could. And also super important part, it's customer feedback. Sometimes we just talk to customer support team or sales team, or but the best case is to see the documentations, how often people write to customer feedback with what like to see the statistics of different issues that appeared during the product. Yeah. And of course during this high-end UX audit, you need more people on the board than just one designer. It's always business analyst from our side, project manager on every project, and it involves a lot of team members from client side as well.
One thing that's we always discuss before diving in such kind of projects is the proper set of exercises that we need to conduct before we do the actual redesign. And definitely audit is the essential part in each product, because we need to understand the state of things. It's as you told, it's kind of like a diagnosis on addressing the key issues that could be upgraded relatively quickly. But then often our clients need a bit more, so they ask for kind of preparing their product strategy to actually help them get the insights from the market, from competitors. And in this case, we always advise to go also to the stage of product discovery. So, how do you think these two things unite into one product that helps our clients? So, if you could compare the value from the audit and the value from the discovery stage.
In essence, UX audit, it's more retrospective tool that focusing on optimizing that is what is already exist, and discovery phase, it's more prospective tool that setting direction and strategy for the future development. Essentially, anyone involved in creating new product or uh, redesigning current product, we recommend them to conduct discovery phase, and it's vital because it helps you to understand how many people you need on what stage, what kind of features you need to implement, and in what priority. And this reduce risks a lot.
Yeah, especially if you need to invest a lot and then consequently into development. That's something that we always tell our clients, and that if the stakes are high, then definitely you need to discover, because it shapes this vision, and it helps you to have a picture of this long-term innovation. But at the same time, it excludes quite a few risks just on the paper, or like on in digital tools like Miro. So in a way, it also helps you to save money. So definitely, if you need to rebuild something big, and or to blend several solutions into one, or create something new for your customers, then definitely it makes a lot of sense. So that's one of the key values. Okay, so now we're getting to the topic of this discovery, and I guess that another question that's we receive almost on every initial discussion with client is what actually is a discovery, and what are the steps we need to take. So definitely there is no one size fits all, or like a silver bullet. It depends. So I need to say all the three things I always tell to our customers. But if you could tell, what are the essentials that you need to do?
Absolutely. High-end discovery involves several key activities like stakeholders interviews, where we trying to understand goals and expectations of stakeholders. Then we do market research, analyzing direct and indirect competitors. Then we do user research. We're talking to potential users, watching Facebook groups where they discuss their issues and do some field studies, whatever. And final stage of discovery, it's a workshop with our team and a client team where we do different exercises to align stakeholders' goals and expectation. And sometimes we do some co-creation sessions where we create some prototype of the product.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess that's for us, we can tell about discovery a lot of things, but what about like tangible outcomes? The thing that all clients really care about, which is the deliverables. So, could you name the key things that the client receives and that can actually use and apply with their team? So, what would it be?
First of all, it's a presentation with all insights from discovery, starting with a well-defined problem statement because it's super important for the project. Quite often, stakeholders have different opinion about the problem we are solving. Then, of course, after we talk to user and make user research, we create user personas, user journey maps. We sometimes we create detailed service blueprint of the whole operational process, and quite often we create some low fidelity wireframe and concept that helps everyone to understand the product strategy and envision this product.
Okay, and I guess one thing that a lot of people have on their minds, and I should articulate it. So, do you have or like know the situation in which you can skip the discovery phase? So, what cases you see in this regard?
Of course, if you want to skip discovery phase, it's possible, but it makes quite risky all other iterations because you can miss user needs or business goals and misunderstand business goals and uh, spend a lot of time and money on developing something that is not very useful for your potential and current users.
So basically, if the speed is of the essence and you, in many ways, also ready to make changes then on the go in production stage, it could be this kind of a situation. But if you have a more like long-term strategy and you have this time to invest to this research in that's how we can also call it, then it will just pay off in a lot less risks afterwards.
If you have one then more stakeholder, we recommend you to do the discovery phase. If you are only one member in your company, you're a solopreneur, I guess it's possible to skip this phase and just iterate very quickly and change the product and the code and the design on the go. But if you have many stakeholders, it can be quite expensive every iteration because it takes much more time to align the vision of all stakeholders.
So the usual question we also get is about the duration and the cost of this particular stage, because again, many people want to skip it just to save time, sometimes to save the time and the budget. So we were answering about this beforehand. I guess it's important to state again that it really depends on the scale of the projects, on the complexity, and many other things. Because in any case, the team would need to have the onboarding. You understand your business a lot better than the designers who will join at least at the beginning. But then, when this synergy is created and the discovery stage or is one of the steps or phases you can take to achieve it, then everything will be a lot smoother and quicker. But I would say that definitely the quickest discovery you could do would take, I would say, from 8 to 10 business days. The biggest we ever had was around 3 months, and definitely there's no the limits. I know that there's also a big a trend right now to have a continuous discovery. Of course, it should be done by kind of like a separate team, or there should be a certain allocation for them to conduct it on the go during the whole project. But that's kind of like an edge case. Of course, if you have a decent budget to invest in it. But beside that, I guess in terms of the money, so you could expect that the check would be around from 10 to 20K for this particular stage. And again, considering that this is not going to be the waste of money, it's an investment that saves you a lot of money and time afterwards.
I would add that continuous discovery, it's quite interesting topic, and more often we start on the bigger projects. We recommend clients to have at least two designers, one or more senior designer, or constantly do this discovery exercise, research market, talk to users, realign stakeholders, and it's head of design, some product strategy designer, and then a more UX UI interface designer who works on UX patterns, interface elements, talking to development team, and improve my, let's say, engineering part of product.
So I really appreciate all the insights. I hope that in our story was not too complex, but in any way. So if you have a question about what should be the path to redesign your products, feel free to DM me or Art on LinkedIn. We'll be more than happy to have a call. It's free of charge, just to tell you about the best practices. As you remember, Art is certified by Nissan Group, guys who invented UX term. So we do a lot of things by the book, but at the same time, we also consider the business that you are creating, and we fine tune it. It's kind of like a tailor-made approach. And today we discussed several interesting things. So why you should do the UX audits in the products? What is the minimum package or the process that you have to conduct? So what is the high-end option? And if you need to do something more like strategic innovation planning, then definitely taking a discovery stage also makes sense. It sounds like it takes a lot of time, but in the end of the day, it's something that also helps to prepare for really rapid and quick production. So we would love to tell a bit more about how we actually do the work on some of the examples, and we're preparing this next episode for you. So stay tuned and please push the subscribe button.